What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the channel. If you've never been here before, please hit the subscribe button. Check out the content that I have. Ring the little notification bell. Everybody else, welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Felons channel. We're going to talk about a case that's all over the internet right now, but I'm going to give you a different perspective, something very important, right? And this is about the stabbing death of Austin Metcalf by Carmelo Anthony in Texas. Two 17-year-olds that never met each other before. Very important fact. That transpired at a field day event, an athletic event on school grounds. One 17-year-old, Carmelo Anthony, stabbed Austin Metcalf one time inside of the center of the chest. Before I get into the story some more, many of you heard about it, but I'm told you I'm going to give you a different look on something real quick. Let me play you a little video that they from the news when it first happened. Just check out this video from when it first happened, and then we'll get into it.
7:43 is the time, and welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Gina Francine. Turning to a developing story this Friday as thousands of people have donated to an online fund supporting a family whose son was stabbed to death at a Frisco ISD track meet. It's one of the ways people are coping with the death of Austin Metcalf. Right now, we want to check in with Fox 4's Tisia Muzinga, joining us live this morning with a message from the family. Good morning to you. Alarming news. We continue to get updates this morning.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Good morning. Yeah, we are hoping to hear more information and get more information about what led up to the fatal stabbing of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf from court documents later this morning. But the family of Austin Metcalf, the 17-year-old, they have been just sharing stories about what kind of a man he was and details about the final moments while he was here. But police are saying that 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony, who attends Centennial High School, stabbed Metcalf in the chest after a fight at Kirkendall Stadium Wednesday morning. The family says they believe the fight started over a seating issue in the stands at a track meet. Hunter Metcalf, the victim's twin brother, told Fox News he did everything he could to save his brother's life.
Yeah, I pushed my hand on there, trying to make it stop, and I grabbed his head and I looked in his eyes. I just saw his soul leave, and it took my soul too.
I'm so sorry.
Well, police are investigating how a knife got into the stadium. Anthony is in the Collin County Jail and is charged with murder, and his bond is set at $1 million. Frisco ISD, however, is rescheduling that track meet where all that happened. They're planning to have it next Monday at a different school, Little Elm High School. Back to you.
Tisia Muzinga with Fox 4 Dallas. Thank you so much for that detailed breakdown. A lot of eyes on this story. Tragic news we continue to follow. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great rest of your day.
You as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Gina Francine. Let's take our final 2-minute commercial break of the hour. We'll be right back.
So that filled you in up to date a little bit about what transpired in that incident. It happened on April 2nd. So it almost a little over a week ago, about 2 weeks ago, closing in on 2 weeks, right? And so the first thing that I'm going to get into right here is the fact that so many people on the internet, so many people on YouTube, so many people on Facebook are making this an incident of race. And this is really, really unfortunate. The people that are making it an incident of race are obviously racist. Right. And if there is reason to believe that there was a racial undertone to the incident, then I could see bringing race involved if it's relevant. Right. But it's not relevant in this case. All right. There is no evidence at all, nothing substantial or not even not substantial. There's no evidence at all that Carmelo Anthony stabbed Austin Metcalf because he was white. There was no evidence at all that Austin Metcalf approached Carmelo Anthony because he was black. Nobody called anyone any racial words, right? There is nothing at all making this about race. right? And this is just people, as they call, gaslighting. People trying to throw gas on the fire and make the incident something that it's not. This was about two 17-year-old kids getting into a confrontation with one another, getting into a beef with one another over something that was stupid and irrelevant and unfortunately led to a stabbing. And we're going to get into that in a second. But the racial thing is important because it brings a tone that's not relevant, man, in reality, right? Everything isn't about race in this world. The circumstances of every single case are different. And then you hear people saying, well, if the white kid stabbed the black kid, then he would still be in jail because at this point, Carmelo Anthony has been released on bail. Okay, he was given $1 million bail at first, and then the bail was reduced. And we'll talk about that in 1 second. Let me play you a little video about that he was released on bail. Just check this out real quick, and then we'll get back into that.
Within the past hour, 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony has been released from the Collin County Jail after posting bond. A judge reduced his bond this morning from $1 million to $250,000. He's facing a murder charge after police say he stabbed another teenager, Austin Metcalf, while at a track meet at a Frisco high school. Stephen Dial is in McKinney with more. Stephen.
Carmelo Anthony left the Collin County Jail in a suit but had nothing to say to the reporters before he got into that vehicle. The district court judge says that she looked at all the factors in this case, him not having a criminal history, and that led to her making her decision to reduce his bond. 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony was silent after bonding out of the Collin County Jail and being placed on house arrest.
How is this self-defense?
2 days after the family of Austin Metcalf buried their son, they were at the Collin County Courthouse for a bond reduction hearing Monday. Carmelo Anthony is accused of stabbing and killing Metcalf at a Frisco track meet earlier this month. The case has quickly become national news, drawing a lot of attention, resulting in threats and increased security at the courthouse.
Threats and, talk of race war and all kinds of insanity isn't good for, obviously, the Anthony family. It's not good for the Metcalf family.
Cameras were not allowed inside the courtroom, but we did capture the Anthony family arriving. His father, Andrew, testified in the hearing. District Court Judge Angela Tucker said that she's never gotten this volume of calls and had to have this level of security in the courtroom in her 13 years on the bench. Court documents say Anthony stabbed Metcalf during a fight. When an officer arrived, court documents say Anthony told the officer, "I was protecting myself." Collin County District Attorney Greg Willis spoke after the hearing.
The judge has made the call, and so what's important is what's next, and it's our job to be level-headed, to be fact-based, and to follow the truth wherever it leads.
Anthony's father testified he's taking a leave from work because of the incident, and his wife is a stay-at-home mother with 3 other children. During the hearing, the prosecution brought up the fact that more than $400,000 have been raised for the Anthony family, saying a reduction is not needed because they have the funds. A big question in this case will be, why did Anthony bring a weapon to a high school stadium? It's a question that was asked of his attorney.
That's an understandable question, but it's not something that, frankly, we're prepared to even go into.
Now, in the opening statement to the media from that interview that you just heard, he led with talking about self-defense. Again, the court documents mention self-defense. We'll have to wait and see how that defense will be made in court when things pan out. Now, according to the judge, the terms of the bond are house arrest and ankle monitor. She told him to stay off social media, and he has to personally call her bailiff every Friday morning, not his parents, but him. And there's a list of other things that is set, and if he violates that, he'll return to the Collin County Jail.
All right, Stephen Dial live for us. Thank you, Stephen.
All right. So as you see, he was released on bail. So now, as far as the people saying, oh, if the white kid stabbed the black kid, he would have been out on bail. Listen, you can't say that, The judge is the one that has the reports in front of her. The judge is the one that has the eyewitness reports. The judge is the one that has the police reports. The judge is the one that looked at the facts. And everyone is saying, oh, this liberal judge let him out because he's black. You know what? I don't think that she let him out because he's black. First of all, everybody is entitled to bail under the U.S. Constitution. So all of you people that believe in the Constitution, right, then you know that Carmelo Anthony is entitled to bail. And why is he entitled to bail? Even though the crime is very serious? One, okay, there's no proof that he intended to kill him, even though he stabbed him in the heart. Right? That may not have been his intention. We don't know what happened, but so I'm not even going to get into that. But the reason he was given bail is, one, he's entitled to bail under the Constitution. Two, he is not a flight risk. Okay, he has no reason to say he's a flight risk. Three, he had never been in trouble a day before in his life. He works 2 jobs. He has a 3.9 grade average in school. And he said, oh, well, he stabbed someone and killed him. All those facts right there make him eligible for bail. Okay? So you may not like the fact that he got out on bail, but he's entitled to get out on bail. And I'm not looking at it as a liberal. You see the shirt? Conservative felon. I'm on the conservative side, but the law is the law. Okay? So he's entitled to bail and he gets out on bail. All right? There's nothing otherwise to say that he shouldn't do that. The two never met each other before. So there was no underlying beef between these two. Okay. And supposedly there's some video. Supposedly the police even have this on video. You know, what this transpired over was the fact that Carmelo Anthony was under the tent that belonged to the team that Austin Metcalf was on. All right. And allegedly or supposedly, according to eyewitnesses, they didn't want Carmelo Anthony under the tent because that wasn't his school. Okay. And so Austin Metcalf approached Carmelo Anthony, and it is said, according to witnesses, that he pushed him, that he became physical. Okay. And in response to that, Carmelo Anthony said something like, touch me again, and see what happens, which is irrelevant because those are just words, whether you call it taunting or not, right? The fact is this, too. This is a fact, not opinion. And I'm not taking anyone's side, okay? I'm not taking anyone's sides. Allow me to explain both sides. The fact is that Austin Metcalf doesn't have a right, okay, to physically touch Carmelo Anthony. Okay, Austin Metcalf is not the tent police. Okay, he's not the police at all. He's not a security guard. He's not an enforcer of the rules. I understand he may have been a good kid. They said he was I'm sure he was. He had a 4.0 grade average. He was a star athlete. He was doing great in school, right? There's nothing to say either one of them was a bad kid. Okay, so Austin Metcalf is supposedly a good kid, but that doesn't make it his place to approach someone and tell them that they have to leave. Now, he can tell him he has to leave, or not even that. He can ask him to leave, but he can't physically touch him. Okay, and he did physically touch him. And once you physically touch someone, once you try and be the big man, right, and be like, I'll take care of the situation. I'm going to show my everyone else here that I'm going to make them leave. Right? And you approach him and you touch him, right? Now you're crossing a line right now. Once you get physical, you're crossing a line. So it was really Austin Metcalf's job, if he didn't want him there, to go get an adult, to go get a supervisor, to go get a teacher, right? That was really his responsibility to do it, but he handled the situation wrong. And you never know who you're touching, right? And so Carmelo Anthony pulls out a knife, right? Probably didn't intend to use it. I killed someone with a knife, unfortunately, when I was 24 years old, right? Things happen fast, right? Now, Carmelo Anthony bringing a knife to school. He shouldn't have brought the knife to school. The truth is, many people carry a knife. Now, don't everybody act like an angel. There's millions of women who put knives in their pocketbook for protection, for self-defense. There's millions of guys that carry a knife in their pocket. They like to have a knife on them, especially in today's world. Doesn't mean they're out looking to stab someone. The world is a dangerous place, right? So some people carry some form of self-defense. So this kid had a knife on him. Shouldn't have brought it to school. it's a mistake, and he did. And now Carmelo Anthony is definitely going to use in the court of law the art of the claim of self-defense, right? But excuse me, people, self-defense is not really going to work. He's going to try and use self-defense, but I'll tell you why self-defense isn't going to work. Even because Austin Metcalf put his hands on him, putting his hands on him didn't raise to the threat level where Carmelo Anthony felt like his life was in danger. You follow me? It didn't meet that threshold. Touching someone or pushing someone doesn't meet the threshold of you pulling out a knife and stabbing them in the chest. There was no, according to everything that we're told, there was no imminent threat of death in that situation. And the state of Texas does have self-defense laws, but I don't know if the self-defense law is going to work in this incident right here. Because as I said, but pulling out a knife and meeting it is a violent act. When you push someone, that's considered a violent act. It's considered an assault, right? But pulling out a knife to meet the act of someone pushing you is not really going to fly in the court of law. You know what I mean? I don't think they charged him with murder in the first degree, if I'm correct. But we all know that charges get reduced. And I think it's not only go down to murder in the second degree, it'll probably go down to to manslaughter in the first degree, if not less. Because they're going to say that the intention to kill wasn't there. See, murder means you intended to kill someone, that there was intent there. And I don't believe that he intended to kill him. I don't believe that Carmelo Anthony woke up that morning intending to kill someone. And he shouldn't have pulled out the knife. I'm not justifying it. And he shouldn't have stabbed him. I'm not justifying that either. That's why I said his self-defense is not going to work. But Austin Metcalf also shouldn't have pushed him. You see, this was the problem of two athletes. These are both two athletes, both 6-footers. They both have a lot of ego involved. They both have pride involved. He's telling him, yo, listen, get out of the tent. You don't belong here. And the other guy, I'm not going. You make me go. And then he pushes him. And the other kid pulls out a knife. Yo, don't push me. I'm telling you right now, don't touch me again. And then boom. And witnesses have said, now this is important for you youngsters watching and for anyone watching. Witnesses have said that the entire incident, from when they first started arguing to when he stabbed him, that it didn't take 30 seconds. 30 seconds. And everyone's life is changed. 30 seconds of impulse, because no one wanted to back down. The egos were involved. The pride is involved. You should read in the Bible where it talks about how dangerous pride is in the Bible. Very dangerous, right? Sometimes you got to put your pride down, And this is why I teach you youngsters, please listen to me. 30 seconds changes your life forever. I always told you about stimulus and response, because let me tell you exactly what happened in this situation. When Austin Metcalf pushed Carmelo Anthony, his brain was stimulated. That's what happened. Your brain gets stimulated. And when your brain gets stimulated, there's going to be some type of response. That's with anything in life. But in between stimulus and response, there's a space there. And the first thing I do is teach people that space exists. You can call it the space of free will, but it's the space where we make all our choices. It's the space where we make all our decisions, the space between stimulus and response. And the crazy part is that space may only be a fraction of a second. So what I tell people is the first thing you got to know is that space exists. And the second thing you must master is controlling the space between stimulus and response. Because if in that space, instead of pulling out a knife, Carmelo Anthony would have said, my response is going to be to walk away. My response is going to be to yell back. My response is going to be to push back. But he chose the response to pull out a knife. Between stimulus and response, there's a space there. And it's in that space where we must make good decisions. And a lot of you throughout life encounter this every day. It's going to be in road rage incidents. It's going to be online in the supermarket. It's going to be when someone bumps into you. It's going to be when someone cuts you off. It's going to be when someone pushes you. Your brain is going to be stimulated. And then there's going to be a response. And you must respond to things correctly. You must master that space because it's the 30 seconds, 10 seconds that changes your life forever. But what I don't like and what I don't like about this whole incident, as I said, I don't like that this poor kid died, right? But what I don't like is that people are bringing race into it. It has nothing to do with race. You racist people. It has nothing to do with race. They never met each other before. No one called him the N-word. He didn't call him a cracker. There was none of that. There was a million witnesses. None of that transpired. So don't bring race into this incident. Every single incident has its own set of circumstances, and you can't compare it to other incidents. You know, if you believe that the court system is dealing by letting him out on bail, they're doing that because he's black, that's not true. Everybody's entitled to bail. And he didn't get a $30,000 bail like the white police officers from the white correctional officers that beat to death Robert Brooks on film recently in the New York State Department of Corrections. They were released on $30,000 bail, and they straight up murdered that guy while he was handcuffed, right? And so I didn't see a ton of white people protesting that all these cops that were supposed to uphold the law and were responsible for the care, custody, and control of a handcuffed prisoner that they beat to death like an animal and stuck things down his throat and kicked him, and they beat him, they murdered him. They were released on $30,000 bail. So all you people that are on here making a comment complaining about him being released on bail, I hope you were complaining about those officers being released on bail. Right? So it goes both ways. I'm not sticking up for either one of them. I don't think this kid should have stabbed him. I think he should be arrested. I think that he should be found guilty of at least manslaughter in the first degree. I'm not sure if it should be murder. I haven't heard all the facts of the case yet. None of us have. Those will come out in time. We know what the media tells us. And you know how much you can trust the media. Right? So we can only go by what we hear right now. The judge is going to have the real facts. The lawyers are going to have the real facts. Right? But don't pay attention to all the racial stuff. You have to look at the facts of the case. And that's what's going on with that incident right now. I just wanted to keep you updated on it. I wanted to give you another outlook on it. Don't let these people rent space in your head and believe this is why this is happening, this is why that's happening. I don't believe either one of these kids was a bad kid. I believe they were two 17-year-olds, man. You know, and I think it's important that we sit our teenagers down and explain to them how to handle situations like this, how not to get involved in situations like this, how to walk away from situations like this. You know, I learned as I got older to ignore and walk away. I guess a lot of us learn that as we get older, to walk away from certain situations because they're just not worth it. It's just not worth it. You know what I mean? Over him being under a tent. Who cares? Who cares? It's a shame. I'll talk with you guys soon. I love you. Please hit the subscribe button. Watch some more of the videos, and I'll keep you guys up to date on things. All right? Be well. Enjoy the week.